What's going on, everyone? So we're all kind of waiting around to see what happens with Lauri Markkanen. How does this trade shape up, if there even is a trade at all? The Utah Jazz don't technically have to trade him. It kind of is in their best interest to kind of unload, especially if he's not a piece for the future. Also, their pick, I believe this year, is top 10 protected. So if they can fall into the top 10, then they could get a better pick. Kind of sounds like Utah is interested in kind of a fire sale, but Lauri Markkanen is likely the first piece that is going to have to drop. And if that drops, well, then I think that you'll start seeing other teams and other trades potentially go down. But the team that continues to be heavily linked to a Lauri Markkanen trade is the Golden State Warriors. And based on recent reports, it is essentially the Warriors' trade to lose. The Warriors are firmly in the driver's seat based on reports that a trade seems to be imminent, that it is going to happen. Even Draymond said that the Warriors almost made some trades last week, and this was amid the Lauri Markkanen rumors. He said that on Club 520 podcast. So there is now this continued just growing buzz that, hey, Lauri Markkanen is going to be traded. Kind of seems like a matter of when, not if, at this point. It's just what can the two sides kind of find a middle ground, right? The Warriors want to keep guys. Like the Warriors prioritize keeping Pod, but the Utah Jazz seem to really want Pod. Supposedly, again, based on reports, it's all we have to go on. It looks like that they're willing to kind of part with Kuminga, but they're trying to push a Moses Moody draft pick heavy type of deal to the Utah Jazz. So maybe it'll end up being something where they find a middle ground. Maybe they, package a couple players. Maybe they do eventually part with Pod, but they're able to keep Moody, or maybe it's Moody and Pod and they're able to get another piece. Maybe the Warriors even work it out to where they get like a Walker Kessler also, right? They could use a big center finally. I mean, they got the draft pick, but he's probably going to take a little time to grow and develop. So, it's going to be interesting to see how Lauri Markkanen to the Golden State Warriors eventually plays out. Now, as far as just the player fit, what he would provide to the Golden State Warriors team, look, I really like the idea of Lauri Markkanen on the Warriors. The problem is I don't know if that is the best course of action for the Warriors. Like, is this the best trade in piece to make the Warriors really a contender again around Steph Curry? Or is this just kind of like, this just feels like, hey, we're trying to do something to show, hey, we're trying to do something, right? Like, if you get what I'm saying, like, it almost feels like a trade just to say you did a trade. We made a big splash for an all-star level guy just to go get an all-star level guy. And look, Steph absolutely needs a second option, right? He absolutely needs somebody else that can handle some of the burden and the workload. And the beauty of Lauri Markkanen is he doesn't really need the ball. He's so good off ball. He can knock down. He's so efficient shooting the basketball. Plus, him being 7-footer, right? He can slot in basically 3 through 5, which would be huge for the Warriors. Now, he plays more like he's 6 feet than he is 7 feet, but he is a guy, especially in the Warriors system, could probably slot in at the 5 at times. Or you could kind of have Draymond be the 5 on the defensive side and Lauri be the 5 on the offensive side type thing to kind of stretch the floor. There's creative ways. There's versatility there for the Warriors. So there's no arguing like that the Warriors could use a guy like Lauri Markkanen. But it's just right now at $18 million, like it's perfect. But you're going to have to pay him 40 plus coming up. On top of paying him 40 plus coming up, he does have a very extensive injury history. This isn't a guy that has been this guy's a 80 game a season type guy, right? You can really count on him. You can really trust him to pull through in that regard. And I mean, the most games he's played since his rookie season was 66. And that was in 2022, 2023. Right? And I know people say, Utah was trying to be bad and they were trying to tank. That's why he only played 55 last year. But again, what about every other year? What about the years with Cleveland in which he played 61, or Chicago where he played 50, 51, Chicago with 52? Like, the only year he's played more than 66 games was his rookie year in which he played 68. That's not good. That doesn't bode well for a player that's going to be making 40 plus million. And, is he really a number 2 guy, in my opinion? Right? He's incredibly talented. He would be if Andrew Wiggins could kind of get back to the form we saw with in the 2022 finals run, right? Then I think this move makes more sense, right? Or if you can keep Kuminga and he can kind of take the next step. Because, Steph is so great that you could be a real contender just by committee, right? So, what I mean by that, for example, is look at Giannis, right? When he won the championship, he had Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton. Both guys are excellent players, particularly Drew Holiday, but neither guy is really a number 2 on it, a bona fide, this guy is clearly, the second best player on it. But it wasn't just that they had to be the number 2. It was that you had 2 guys that are probably best as your number 3. And also you had guys like Brook Lopez, and right. So it was, again, by committee. You had enough talent and enough high level role players that you were able to kind of offset the need for that number 2 guy. And Giannis was so great that he was able to kind of be the catalyst, right? He was able to pull you over the top. I mean, he was dropping 50 in the finals and stuff, right? Where you could maybe do something similar with Steph, right? Even you look at Denver, right? Jamal Murray is excellent, especially when he's on and he's cooking. Never won an All-Star. He's had his struggles the last few years in the playoffs, unless he's playing the Lakers, of course. Then he's prime Michael Jordan. But outside of that, you look at all the other series, had his struggles. But they were able to win the championship because it wasn't just Jamal Murray. And Jokic is just so great that you surround him with a KCP, a Michael Porter Jr., a Jamal Murray, and Aaron Gordon. Now it's just they have so much talent, and then Jokic is just so transcending that they're able to get over the top, right? So can you do something similar with the Warriors, where Steph is so good and so transcending that you can get away with a Lauri Markkanen, who's probably best as your third option, but you also have Andrew Wiggins stepping up, and you have Buddy Hield, and you have Draymond doing Draymond things, and you have Pod, and you have and you start putting all the pieces together. It's just the Warriors by committee are good enough, and Steph is transcending enough that you're able to kind of get over the hump and potentially win another championship. That's kind of the hope, in my opinion, if you're the Warriors and what you're trying to do with Steph, right? But look, I talked about this before. I even made a video yesterday about it. That I think you have to do right by Steph one way or another. I think you either need to go and make that splash trade. Problem is, I just don't know if Markkanen is that trade, but we'll see if they pull it off. But you do need to make that splash trade to kind of bring good faith to Steph Curry and kind of show hey, we're trying to do something. Or, which I think the better option would be for the Warriors, is basically keep all your draft picks. You keep your young talent, because they have some very good young talent, right? Jonathan Kuminga looks like he could potentially be a star one day. Pod looks fantastic. Trace Jackson, right? You start adding, even Moody, I like Moody a lot. Start adding the young depth and talent that this team has. And then all the picks that they have and stuff like that. It's just there's almost a better argument to be made. And in my opinion, I think there is, that you keep your young talent, you talk to Steph, and you kind of have the mutual, hey, this is best for the organization, this is best for Steph, we want to do right by him type thing, and you trade Steph, and you get an insane haul and package with young talent and whatever you can, right? You send him wherever he wants to go, you work with him, so that way you do right by him, right? Hey, what team would you prefer to go to in order to, that you believe would give you the best chance to win a championship, right? You trade him to that team, you fleece that team for whatever you can get, and then you hit the reset button, right? I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see because it looks like the Warriors are pushing hard for Lauri Markkanen. It makes sense. I get it. But is that the right move? Is that the right play? We're going to find out. We're going to see. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. I pass a question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Do you like the idea of the Warriors going and trading for Lauri Markkanen? Do you think, no, like it's silly. It makes no sense, right? He's not a number 2 guy. Look, Warriors love their three-point shooting, and they're going to be a very good three-point shooting team if they get Lauri Markkanen between him and Buddy Hield. And I think the Warriors are better now this season than they were last year, even though that they lost Clay. But I really like the pieces that they added. And then you add in a Lauri Markkanen. Could be pretty interesting. We'll see. We'll see how it all plays out. But again, how do you feel? Whatever your thoughts are, I'd love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.